Hi, I'm Veronica and welcome to Jersey City Pilates. You're just going to come to sit on your mat, cross-legged. You can have whatever leg in front that's more comfortable for you. And this class is going to focus a little on mobility because I feel very stuck and like this, like I'm hunched over. So if anyone else feels that too, great. And if not, this workout will still feel good. So you're just going to start again, cross-legged. And just bring your hands slightly off to your sides and think about gently pressing your fingers into the floor. And if your hands are flat on the ground, that's great. If not, who cares? Just press up and think about growing the crown of your head towards the ceiling. And then you're just going to walk your left fingers out to the side just a tiny bit and then send your right ear over towards your right shoulder. And you can think about walking that arm out a little bit more if that feels good. And just take a few breaths here. Good. Just starting to feel your ribs expand out to the side and back behind you as you breathe in every direction. And then come all the way back up tall. Walk your left fingers in a tiny bit. Walk your right fingers out. And side bend over to, or not side bend, just reach your left ear towards your left elbow, shoulder. Words are hard this morning. Good. And then just make sure that your head is not falling forward. You really are reaching your elbow, oh my God, your ear towards your shoulder. Good. And then sit up nice and tall. And then walk both hands out. Keep walking them out and then just reach your arms so far wide to the side that your arms just float up towards a T. And then side bend all the way up and over to the right. Let your ear fall down, let your shoulders relax. Keep reaching through the sitting bones on both hips evenly, so you're still reaching through that left side. And then stack your spine all the way back up nice and tall. Keep reaching really long through your fingertips. Find a little opening across your chest. And then side bend up and over to the left. Reach your ribs up towards the ceiling. Again, anchoring your sitting bones down on the right side. Relax your shoulders. And then come all the way back up. Keep those fingers reaching long in opposite directions. And then you're going to bend your arms and place your hands on your shoulders or behind your head, whatever feels good. Reach long through your elbows as though they're now your fingers. And then you're just going to rotate around towards the right, letting your head stay in line with your sternum, and then come to the center. And then over to the left. Exhale as you twist. Think about wringing your torso out a little bit, but this shouldn't be like a particularly hard motion. It should still feel pretty smooth. Your range of motion may be tiny, that's fine. And then over to the left. And then come back to the center, and then bring your hands to your ribs, relax your shoulders. And you want your thumbs on your back ribs and your fingers on your front ribs. Actually, cross your feet the other direction. Switch whichever one is in front, and then again, find yourself to sit nice and tall. Thumbs on your back ribs, fingers on your front ribs, and then take a big inhale here. Feel the crown of your head extend towards the ceiling, your ribs out to the side and behind you. And then as you exhale, feel them gently draw towards one another, almost like your fingertips are coming closer together. And then again, inhale, breathe. And then exhale, feel everything start to draw in and up. Think about growing a little taller. Reaching through the crown of your head so you have a slight nod in your chin. One more breath here. Good. And then from here, you're going to come to all fours. So have your hands right underneath your shoulders and your knees right underneath your hips. And just find a nice long neutral spine. And then from here, draw your hips up towards your ribs, curl your tailbone, and try to find space through that low back as you round your spine up towards the ceiling, dropping your head as the last thing. And then untuck the tailbone. Think about widening through the sitting bones, letting your body descend towards the floor without dropping through the abdominals. And then find length, lengthening your collarbones through your arms. And then again, curl the tailbone under, round up towards the ceiling. And then uncurl your spine. Nice soft elbows here so they're not hyperextending. And then one more time, curl the tailbone under, round up towards the ceiling. And then uncurl the spine, find that little extension. And then from here, you're going to come into a neutral spine, and you're just gonna hike your right hip up towards your right shoulder, keeping your hips square to the floor otherwise. And then you're gonna lengthen your spine in the center, and then side bend over to the left. Really think about finding length through that right side as you side bend to the left, and then back to the center. Your head isn't dropping, you're just gently looking over your shoulder to find your hip. And then find length one more time to the left. And to the center. And then from here, you're just gonna let your rib cage drop towards the floor, and then bring your ribs over towards the right and then up towards the ceiling and back down. So you're making like a little circle with your ribs. And if you find a place that's sticky or feels particularly good to get that stretch in, stay there. You can press up using your arms, just sort of move in a lateral movement with those ribs, whatever feels good, and then pause at the bottom, and then you're going to reverse. So bring them over to the left, up, down, and around. Your pelvis may stay more or less in neutral, or you may round it a little as you go up. Do whatever feels good. And then again, like I said, if you find a particularly sticky spot, stay there. One more. Good, and then find yourself in that neutral pelvis yet again. Bring your left hand behind your head, and you're gonna bring your left elbow down towards your right wrist, and then take your abdominals with you as you open up. Press through that right hand as you open towards the left, and then again coming down, send that left elbow towards your right wrist, and then back up. And down. Hips stay square to the floor. You're just moving through that thoracic upper spine. 2 more. And last one. Good, and then plant that hand down. You can do a cat-cow to reset yourself if you like. And then when you're ready, you're going to bring your right hand behind your head. And same thing. So you're going to bring your right shoulder, right elbow to your left wrist, and then open up through the torso. And you may notice that you have a huge difference in your range of motion between one side and the other. That's totally normal, but being aware is super helpful. Make sure you're taking your abs with you. Don't worry about squeezing them, but just make sure that they are gently engaged. One more here. Good, and then square yourself off, lower your hand, and then from here you're gonna lift your left hand behind your head, lift open to the left side, reach your arm straight out in line with your shoulder, and then you're gonna thread your arm underneath the right side, lower your ear towards the floor. You can reach your right arm long out in front of you if that feels good, and just think about rotating yourself open. Taking a few breaths here, reaching your sitting bones back behind you. Get a few more breaths. Think about separating that left shoulder blade from your spine on the left side for that little extra stretch. Good, and then slide your right hand back in underneath you if it's extended. And then press yourself up, bring your left hand one last time behind your head, and open up towards the left. Notice if your range of motion is any different, and then bring that hand down. Switching sides, so right hand behind your head, open up towards that right side. Once you find your range of motion, then extend your arm, and then thread your arm underneath yourself, placing your shoulder and your head on the floor, and then again, extend that left arm overhead if it feels good. You can press into that left arm to help rotate you open if that feels nice. Keep reaching back to the sitting bones and breathing into your spine. Two more breaths here. Last one. Slide that left hand back towards your body. Open up, bring the right hand back behind your head and open up just one last time. And then plant that hand down. From here, bring your knees slightly back behind you, and you're gonna send your hips back and then over to the side and do some little circles here. Feeling the weight move through your whole hand. One more time to the right. And then reverse, and then we're gonna take a nice child's pose after 2 or 3 more circles in this direction to the right. Again, just watch your elbows, make sure they're not hyperextended. Last one. Pause with your body forward, bring your knees nice and wide, feet together, and then press your hands into the mat, but keep your chest lifted first as you start to sit back. Reach your heels towards, or your butt rather, towards your heels, and then press your hands into the mat and try to find a little stretch through the back. And then from here, you can walk your hands forward, keeping those heels nice and close to the glutes. And then lower your head all the way down. Keep pressing your hands into the floor, but let your head relax. Think about breathing wide across your back. Try to feel the expansion through those ribs. One more breath here. Last one. Good, and then come back to all fours. From here, you're gonna find that nice neutral pelvis again. Right here, make sure that your elbows are not hyperextended so you can have that soft little bend in them. And then bring your right hand to float off of the mat. And then place it down. And then bring your left hand off the mat just to float, feeling your abs start to engage. One more time to the left. Good. And then pick your hand up on that right side and bring it almost in line with your shoulder. It can be just in front of it, that's fine. Check in with that left elbow periodically, and then from here, keeping your torso totally square to the floor, you're gonna extend your arm overhead, and then slide your elbow wide as you bring that arm back in. So try to keep it at the same height as you open it up, and then as you bend it. 3 more. 2. And last one. Pause with your arm long, rotate your thumb to face the ceiling, and then tap your pinky down towards the ground. It can be slightly wider than your shoulder, and then you're gonna pick it straight up in line with your elbow. And then back down. Reach it long, reach super long through those fingertips. And tap. Good, check in with your abs, your elbow. You need to readjust at any point, by all means, go for it. 3 more. Good, think about reaching long as you extend. That shoulder blade gently slides down your shoulder, down your back rather, but not in a firm way. You're not pulling it down. Good. And then reach your arm long, keep your left arm where it is, and sit back into that child's pose, keeping that arm long, and you should get a nice stretch through the right side of your body. One more breath here. Keep reaching forward through that right hand. And then come all the way back up. Bring your right hand back to the mat and switching sides. So bring your left hand just in line or just below your shoulder. And then extend it straight out long in line-ish with your ear and back down. It shouldn't be above your ear. If it's below, all good. And extend. 4 more. Think about opening up through the elbow and then bending through the elbow so that you're keeping that space between your shoulder and your ear. If it slides up a little, that's fine. But just so you're not serving your shoulder to your ear. 2 more. Last one. Good, and then leave the arm extended, rotate the thumb up towards the ceiling, and then tap it down. And then float it back up and down. And up. And 6 more. Breathing as you go. Check that right elbow. Oh, something in my eye. 3 more. 2. And last one. And then leave that Leave your left arm long, and then sit back into a child's pose. Keep reaching through those fingertips until you get that stretch. Maybe you don't come all the way down on one side or the other. That's fine. Keep sending your sitting bones back behind you. 2 more. And last breath. Coming all the way up. And so this you can either do on your forearms or on your hands, your choice. But you're just going to let your shoulders slide in towards your spine. Keep your abdominals with you as you press up and separate them from your spine. And then let your sternum sink down and then press up. Your head is staying in line with your spine. So if you're on your hands, which is a lot of times where we do this, you're looking just like this. Good, making sure that your abs haven't fallen towards the ground. Your ribs are still gently drawn towards one another. 1 more. And last one. Good. And then you're gonna come onto your back. Actually, before you get onto your back, bring your feet around to the right side. So you're gonna have your left shin in line with one side of your mat and your right with the other. So you have a little Z here. And then reach those arms nice and long. Just 1 more stretch before we move on to our back. Side bend up and over to the right. Really feel that length through the left side. And just notice if your stretch feels any different than when we first did the side bends at the beginning of class. Good, and then from here, bring your right hand to your left ribs, and then you can drop your arm down. And you're just gonna take a few breaths here. Really think about breathing into your ribs where you're holding on that right side, left side with the right hand. 1 more breath, relax your shoulders. Good, and then bring that left arm overhead, the right arm out to the side, and see if you can increase your stretch just a tiny bit more. Good, and then come all the way up. You can stay facing the same direction that you're currently facing. You're just gonna walk your feet around, and left shin goes to the opposite direction, and the right shin will now be straight in front of you. Arms out to that T, and then side bend up and over now to the left. Think about having length so you're not just completely collapsing into that left side. One more breath. Good, and then bring your left ribs or left hand around to your right ribs, and then drop your right arm down. Take a few breaths here. You need to sit yourself up a little bit straighter, that's totally fine. Big inhale. Exhale, last one. Bring your right arm up, side bend a little more, bring that left arm out to the side, and find that reach. Good, and then lower those arms down, and now you are going to come onto your back. Let me turn the music down 1 second. Hopefully this is better. You can hear me now. Better. Okay. So, coming onto your backs, you're gonna have yourself in a nice neutral pelvis, and then you're gonna bring your arms out to a little cactus position. And then you're gonna flip your hands up towards the ceiling, feel your ribs drop as you do so, and then send your palms towards the floor. And then keeping your arms heavy on the ground, let your ribs stay heavy. You're gonna open those arms back up into that cactus position. And then flip them back down. And up. And then back down. And up. 2 more just like this. Feeling that little bit of a stretch through the chest or the arms in either direction. 1 more time down. And then coming up, leave your arms in this cactus position. Keep them bent, and then you're gonna reach so long through your forearms, but out to the side, that you're gonna float them off the mat, keeping your chest fairly wide. You're going to bring your arms towards one another. And then keeping your ribs heavy on the mat, you're just going to open them out until you start to feel that stretch across your chest. And then bring them back in. Feel the wraps of your ribs as you do so. And down. 3 more. Feeling the opening through your chest. This also feels incredible if you are laying on a foam roller. My favorite place to do this. 2. And last one. Good, and then with your arms wide by your side, you can reach them up overhead, hook your thumbs, and then extend your legs nice and long. And just reach your arms overhead, taking a nice big stretch here. And then bring your arms up in line with your shoulders. Curl your head, neck, and shoulders. Feel your ribs slide down toward your hips. And then press your back ribs into the mat on your exhale as you round yourself all the way up and over your legs. Like you're rounded over a nice beach ball here. And then curl the tailbone under, round yourself down. Arms are in line with your shoulders. Think about your sacrum reaching the ground before anything else, like your pelvis is a little wheel, reaching for those heels. And then round all the way, all the way, all the way down. And then release your arms. Let them come gently back overhead. And then once you're in your periphery, you're going to press down through the arms, lift the head, neck, and shoulders, ribs towards your hips, press your back ribs into the mat as though someone's pulling you back. And then you're going to keep feeling that sensation of being pulled back as you round up and over, stretching through the back. One more time, we're going to round down. Ribs stay towards your hips as long as you possibly can. Keep decreasing that length. And then round all the way down, and then find that opening through the front of your body, back ribs on the mat, and then reach your arms overhead. And then you're going to place your hands right down by your sides, and then slide your heels in fairly close, but not touch. You shouldn't be able to reach them with your hands towards your butt. And then from here, tuck the tailbone under, draw the hips up towards the ribs, and then just find that length through the low back, where you're in this little scoop position here, and then release your pelvis to neutral. And then think like you're pouring sand into your pubic bone, and you're going to have a little arch through that low back, and then bring yourself back to neutral. So another way you can think about this is hips up towards the ribs, reducing that distance as your low back gently presses into the mat, finding a little stretch, and then coming into neutral there in that fixed point, and then you're going to let your hips come away from your ribs as you come into that gentle arch. And then one more time back into your scoop, ribs up towards your hips, finding length. I have a piece of hair in my eye, sorry. And then back down into that pelvic tilt in the opposite direction, arching your back gently, and then come into neutral. Bring the hips up towards the ribs, and then keep that sensation, ribs towards your hips as your hips gently draw up off the floor. And then peel yourself up into a nice bridge here. Your ribs, or your shoulder blades rather, are staying heavy on the mat. You're pressing your feet straight down through the mat and then gently back towards you to engage through the whole back of the leg. And then you're going to tuck the tailbone under and then gently round down one vertebrae at a time, release to neutral, and then curl the tailbone back under again. Hips towards those ribs, and then keep peeling yourself off, and then pause at the top. Think as though someone is standing facing you and they're gently grabbing onto your calves and pulling them away from your head. Think about that sensation to help create a little bit of space in the front of your legs. And then from here, you're just going to float your arms up, and then you're going to bring them wide to the side and then straight back up, as though you're doing like a little chest press here, keeping those hips lifted and up. 4 more. 3, 2, ribs are nice and heavy, drawn in towards one another. Last one. Pause with the arms up. You're going to draw your right leg up into tabletop, and then lower that right leg down. Bring your left leg up into tabletop, and then lower it down. If this is too much of a challenge, just bring your arms by your side, press them into the floor. Alternating from one side and then the other, hips are staying nice and square. Think about length through the back of the leg as you hinge at the hip and bring that knee in. One more time to each side. Last one. Good. Plant both legs down, and then arms by your side if they aren't there already. Curl the tailbone under, round yourself all the way down, one vertebrae at a time. Bring your right knee into your chest, and then the left, and just take a little rock back and forth from one side to the other. Good. And then bring your legs into tabletop here. Arms are by your side, and you're just going to tap your left foot first down towards the floor and resist to bring it back up. And then alternating sides. You can always bring a hand to your abdominals if that is a helpful cue for you. As you lower down, your abdominals should not be pressing up towards the ceiling. You shouldn't be arching your low back. If you're doing any of these things, then first make sure you're breathing. Second, reduce your range of motion. You can also drop your hips and just focus on moving the thigh away. And then the other option is bringing your knees in towards 90, or keeping your feet planted on the floor and lifting one and then the other like we just did in our bridge. Once more to each side. Good. Bring both legs up. Flex your feet. Externally rotate from the upper leg. Glue your heels together. You're going to lower this shape down just a few inches away and then resist to bring it back up. If you want to make it a little bit more challenging, you're going to make your little diamond shape a little bit bigger, and you're going to lower the heels down and lift. I'm going to go with a slightly smaller diamond and really focus on lowering my thighs rather than my lower leg, and bring it back in. Again, ribs are heavy, your back ribs are not leaving the mat, and back in. Inhale to lower, exhale, bring it back in. 3 more. 2. Really squeeze those heels together, engaging through the inner thigh, the pelvic floor. Lift. Last one. Good. And then bring your knees parallel. And then you're going to bring your knees into your chest one more time. Give them a little squeeze. And then you're going to leave them there. And you're going to bring your hands behind your head. If this is too much with your knees in by your chest, just drop them to the floor. No problem. Hands behind your head. Curl your chin under ever so slightly, and then lengthen through the crown of your head as you peel yourself up off the floor. Your knees are past 90 here, and then slowly lower all the way back down. Slide your ribs towards your hips as you curl up. Your low back may be pressing into the mat. That's fine. Curl yourself up. And then this next time you're going to curl up and you're going to pause. Here, just make sure that you haven't started to jut your chin forward. Find that length through the back of your neck, the crown of your head, so you're in a nice long line, and then you're going to bring your knees up into tabletop, and then you're going to bring them back in past tabletop. And then just to tabletop, find that nice 90-90, and then back in. 4 more like this. Good. Gaze is at your legs, from the knee to your abdominals, anywhere in there is great. Not up at the ceiling. And then just make sure that your chin is not pressing into your chest. Again, you have that length. Last one. Pause here. You're going to open your legs out to the side. Let them fall out, and then resist to bring them back in. Trying to keep your knees the same distance from your body the entire time. And back out. And in. 3 more. 2, you can flex your feet if that's more comfortable. Last one. Good, and then bring your knees all the way in. Give yourself a little hug here. And then lower all the way down for just a moment. You're going to extend your left leg long. Your right leg is in by your chest. One hand, your inside hand, your left hand on your right shin, and your right hand right by your knee. Curl the head, neck, and shoulders up towards that right knee. Lengthen through that left heel and then float the leg up. Your feet can be pointed or flexed, doesn't matter. And then switch sides. Pause. Lower all the way down to the floor. Take that little stretch. Curl the head, neck, and shoulders up. Lengthen through that right heel and then switch sides. Good. Hold here. Inhale. Lower all the way down to the floor. Curl the head, neck, and shoulders up. Again, find that length through the neck, reach through the heel, float the left leg off, switch sides. Lower everything all the way down. Lift the head and leg at the same time. Switch sides. Lower everything all the way down. Head and leg, same time. Switch. Lower everything all the way down. Head and neck together. And then keep your head and neck lifted. And switch. And switch. And switch. And switch. For 4. 3. Nice and smooth transition, not rocking from one side to the other. Keep lengthening through the crown of your head. Gaze at your legs. Last one. Bring both legs in. Lower everything all the way down. And then give yourself a little massage through the hips, the legs, by making little circles with your femurs. And then reverse. 2 more. And last one, pause with your legs in tabletop. You're going to reach your arms up towards the ceiling. Curl the head, neck, and shoulders up. Reach so long through your arms that maybe your shoulder blades start to lift up off the floor. And you're going to extend your legs, both of them together, and then bend them back in. And then extend them towards the ceiling and bend back in. Good. Neck is not pressing into your chest, chin rather. And then extend and bend. Breathing before you move. Abdominals are not pressing up towards the ceiling. 2. Last one. Bring everything into a little ball. Lower all the way down for just a second. Send your head from one side to the other, taking a little stretch through your neck. Curl the head, neck, and shoulders up. You're in this little ball. Extend the arms and legs. Circle the arms around. Bring everything into that little ball. Extend the arms and legs, circle everything around. The legs don't need to go very low, the arms don't have to go very high over your head. You can also just extend the arms, extend the legs up, and then bring them in, especially if you don't have a lot of room around you. 3 more. Check in on those abdominals. Give your head a little shake if you need. You can also do this with your head on the ground for the last 2. Last one. Good, hold everything in and then lower all the way down. Give yourself a nice rock from one side to the other. And then bring your legs more or less into a 90-degree angle. You can bring your arms out to a T, and then you're going to let your hips fall over, or your legs rather, fall over to one side. Your hip can lift, and then feel your abdominals release you back towards the neutral position. So you're going to let your knees fall over to the right side. Your ribs, you want to try to keep them on the ground, but then you're going to feel the engagement of your abdominals. Pull your back from the upper back toward your hips to bring you back to neutral. And then over to the right and back to the center. Again, try to keep those ribs on the floor. If that's a struggle, don't worry. You can just make your range of motion a little tinier. Good, but really feel the abdominals just kind of pulling you back to anchor. Last one. Good. Last time to the right. And then you're going to lower one leg down and then the other. Keep your arms to a T, and you're just going to windshield wipe your legs from one side to the other here. Getting a nice stretch through the hips. Good. And then bring your legs all the way together, and you're going to let them fall over to one side. And then you're going to bring your gaze to the opposite side. If you want to bring your knees all the way in line with your hips to do this, that's fine. I am way too tight at the moment to do so, but that hip will lift. But try to think about breathing into your right side to get those ribs to the ground. Good. And then from here, reach through those right fingertips, bring them all the way up, and then come to lay on your left side, having your hands stacked one on top of the other, and you're just gonna reach your right arm up, around, laying a little half circle. I'm just gonna come until I'm parallel with my mat, and then come all the way back around. And then lifting just up, only as far as is comfortable, and then back down one more time like this. Good, and then come to the center, Bring your right hand behind your head, and then just open up into that thoracic spinal rotation, just like we did in all fours earlier. The purpose of keeping your hand behind your head for this specifically is that you're getting more of the stretch through your back instead of just like kind of flopping open and being like, hey, I'm doing it. It's a little bit more intentional of a stretch. Shoulders are relaxed. And then come all the way back. And then you're going to come onto your back, windshield wiper your legs one more time. I'm going to spin around so I have space. Windshield wiper your legs one more time to the right and then to the left. And then bring those arms to a T if they're not already there. And then let the legs fall over towards the right after you bring your legs all the way together. And then look over your left shoulder. Take a breath here. Again, focus on breathing into the backs of those ribs. And then reach super long through those left fingertips. Bring them all the way around. And then your head is on the ground, arms in line with one another, straight out from your chest. Sweep those right fingertips overhead to where it feels good. Getting a stretch through that back and shoulders, and then coming all the way back. 2 more times. Reach around. And back. Last one. And then reach your hand behind your head on that left side, and then gently let your chest fall open. Good. Again, think about breathing into your left ribs. And then so someone has a hand on your spine. Trying to see if you can get a little bit more release and space. And then come all the way back. And you're going to just come onto your stomach here. Legs are nice and long behind you. And you're going to start with your shoulders over your elbows. So your feet are nice and relaxed, but your toes are not curled under, so the tops of your foot is relaxing on the ground. Just let your body kind of sink down towards the floor here for a second. Your shoulders may be up towards your ears, shoulder blades in towards your spine, totally fine. From here, think about lengthening through the crown of your head. Your gaze can be down at the mat, all good. And then just think about pressing your hip bones and your pubic bone into the floor, and then taking a nice big inhale. And then exhale, feel that little engagement, taking your abdominals away from pressing into the floor. They're still touching, but they're just a little bit more aware of what's happening to them. You're gonna press your forearms into the floor, and you're gonna lift up into a nice supported position here. And then you're gonna do another little scapula push-up, so your ribs are gonna come to the ground, shoulder blades in towards your spine, and then press up. 3 more like this. Taking your abdominals with you. 2. Last one, pause here. You're gonna think that you have a little ball on the tip of your nose, and you're going to reach it long as you start to look up and reach your chest gently through your arms. I get a super intense stretch through the front of my body. I barely have to lift my head at all. And then you're gonna lower that back down. Keep thinking about reaching out of the crown of your head. Neck stays long the entire time, so you're not crunching your neck as you look forward. And then lowering back down. Sort of a static little swan here. And back down. Last one. Make sure you're not just crunching your neck like this. You want to find length. That even may mean reaching your head back. And then lower everything all the way down. And then you're going to bring your hands onto a little pillow for your head. You are going to reach so long out of your right toes that they float up off the mat, opening up through the front of your right hip, and then lower that leg all the way down. And then left side, float all the way up. Your thigh may not come off the ground, that's totally fine. Just think about that reach and that length and the opening through the front of that hip flexor. Other side. And down, last one. To each side. I'm leaving my head lifted so you can hear me, hopefully. and back down. Good. And then from here, you are going to bring your hands back by your sides, palms face the floor, and you're going to externally rotate your arms ever so gently. Slide the shoulder blades slightly in towards your spine. Float the arms up. Find that length across the front of your collarbone. Maybe that means your arms are a little wider away from your body. And then you're just going to float your head, neck, and shoulders up off the floor into a nice low swan position here. Keep reaching through the fingertips as you lower down as though you're going to touch the tip of your nose to the mat. And then reach back and lift up. If your arms are shaking, that's totally fine. My right arm is like crazy. For some reason, my left is not. All good. Lower all the way back down. Keep thinking about that spread and length through the chest. And back down. Last one. Lift. Good. Pause here. Bend the arms so that they are face down, hands in line with your shoulders. And then reach your arms out to a T. You're going to place your arms on the ground out to a T. You're going to reach them nice and long. You're going to lower your head so it's just at a hover, or you can even release your forehead down to the mat, whichever feels better. And you're going to think about reaching so long through the fingertips that you hover those arms off the ground into a T. Feel your shoulder blades gently slide in towards your spine here, and then lower them down. And then lift as they slide in. And back down. 3 more. Shake your neck out. Make sure that it's not hanging down below the height of your spine. Gaze should be at your mat. Last one. And then rotate the palms to face the ceiling. Bring them back. Reach back. Come into one last swan here. And then lower all the way down. Bring one cheek to the floor. And then give your hips a little shake from one side to the other. Good. And then bring your hands underneath your shoulders. Press or curl the toes under. And then press your hands into the floor. Start to feel your abdominals release away from the ground. Reach back through those heels, through the crown of your head, and either push yourself up into a full plank or onto your knees, taking your abdominals with you. Good. So, finding yourself in a kneeling plank here. We'll all start in a kneeling plank. You're going to send your hips back towards your knees and then round your spine forward. Just take a second to get a little stretch here after all that extension. And then come back into that kneeling plank. From here, you're going to bring your legs all the way together, and then you're just going to rotate over onto your right arm. Lift your left arm up towards the ceiling. If you prefer to place your left leg out long, that's totally fine, or you're just going to have your knees stacked one over the other. You're reaching your ribs away from the floor. Holding here, think long from the crown of your head for 4, 3, 2, last one. Come forward into that kneeling plank. Take a nice deep breath here. Your feet can be lifted. And then you're going to rotate over onto that left side. Reach that arm up. And then again, having your head in line with your spine, knees in line with your body. Elbow is slightly bent. One more breath here. And then come back to the center. We're going to do that one more time to each side, but if you'd like to come up into a full plank, by all means, go for it. Tuck the tailbone under. Either way, you're finding a little bit of length through your upper body. Your arms are pressing away from the floor, and then you're just going to rotate yourself over onto that right foot, and then lift up. If you want your feet staggered, go for it. And then keep reaching up, taking one more breath in. Think like your whole body is pressed against a wall behind you, and then come forward into that regular high plank. Press the ground away, reset yourself, and then come up and over to the left. Again, think about pressing your head back gently, reaching up towards the ceiling for 3, 2, 1. Come all the way back. Lift your hips up into a downward dog. Bend your knees a whole bunch. And then you're going to bend one knee and then the other. Stretching here through the backs of your legs. Find a little space for your neck. Press your hands into the floor. And then you're going to round forward and then open up into a plank here. And then lift your hips up. One more time, come forward, find your plank, best plank of the day. Abdominals are drawing away from the floor, arms are not hyperextended. And then bring your knees nice and wide, and then press back onto your hips. Stretch forward. Take a big inhale here. Breathing into your back ribs. Walk yourself over to the left. Reaching long through your right sitting bone and right fingertips for that side stretch. And then over to the left, or your other side. Good, and then come back onto all fours one last time. Curl the tailbone under, round your spine up towards the ceiling. Find a nice little bit of extension here, supported through your abdominals. Find a neutral, and then sit back onto your heels. One last stretch. You're gonna reach those arms like we did in the beginning of class, out to a T, side bend up and over to the right. Good, and then you're gonna lift up, but keep your right fingertips reaching long away from you and gently grab onto your head with your left hand. If your fingertips don't touch the ground, that's fine, just keep reaching away. And then think about gently lifting your chin so that you're in a nice long line, your head is not being pulled forward. Good, and then arms back to a T, side bend up and over towards the left. Good, and then keep reaching long through that left hand as you bring your ear over towards your right shoulder. Relax both shoulders. And then coming with your hands one last time to a T, lift them all the way up, externally rotate, press down, feel your ribs drop and the crown of your head grow nice and tall, and your arms will come by your sides, and you are all finished. Thanks.